Hi, this is Mark Edwards. I'm just doing my life story. Let's start with my parents. Um, Both of them lived in Fort Lupton, Colorado. My mom and my dad were about 16 when their journey started. My dad went to the military, the Army, did not graduate high school. My mom started doing meth. I was born 2 years after that, right before my mom turned 18. My dad was still in the military. He was stationed in Germany when I was born. And I was born in Fitzsimmons Hospital in Aurora, Colorado, July 13th, 1983 at 1:19 in the morning. My mom had a hard time with me. I was due on the 12th. She went to the hospital 4 times before she had me, thinking she was going to go into labor. Never did. Had to drive to Aurora from Greeley to there. The house behind me is where my mom was staying at the time. My grandma's house. Then after I was born, stayed here for a while, for about 6 months with my mom. And then they got enough money, my dad and my mom, to send my mom and me to Germany. So I went and lived in Germany for about 9 months. I don't remember any of this. This is just all based off of what I've been told. And then my mom came back. I think she was working fast food or something, I don't remember, but stayed here until 1985, when they'd started doing the drug testing of the military, and my dad did not pass his piss test and got honorably discharged. He was in the service for 7 years at this point. And he was highly trained in all kinds of weaponry and, at the time, computer. He was a commanding officer in the battlefield. He would report to major commanding officers and what he saw and his strategy of what he saw, and was solo. He did not have a squad. He didn't have anyone but his COO and his radio and his weapons and his camouflage. So he was trained in a lot of stuff just to be prepared for anything. So he comes back, 1985. He joins the Sons of Silence biker gang. He starts selling meth and doing chop shop work. My mom's being there with him the whole time. Kind of retrace. Immediately after my dad came back, we moved he got his GED, actually. He stayed here and got his GED. And then we moved to Kansas in a trailer for a couple years, 2 or 3 years. Then we moved back to Colorado, Gilchrist, which is 20 miles from here, south. And in Gilchrist is where he started doing the chop shops work. So, and also, since they were both on meth, he did a lot of it. He didn't sleep much, so he also did oil rig work. Was making a lot of money. We lived in a 2-story house. Funny thing is the name of the street we lived on was 13th and Elm. We lived on the corner. Yeah, it's Friday the 13th and Elm Street. Yeah. But it's in Gilchrist if you want to look it up, Google Maps, whatever. We lived right there on the corner in that blue house, 2-story. I had a dog named Sharky. This is when I start remembering things. It was like 4 or 5, right before my brother was born. I wanted a brother. It was a big deal to me. I thought it would be awesome to have someone there to play with, raise, my little mini me or something like that. Oh, after my brother was born, though, I was told that I didn't want anything to do with him because he got all the attention, of course. But when he started able to walk and play, we had a great time. I used to do a lot of stuff with him. Before I started playing with him, I had a cat named Lucky and a dog named Sharky. Played a lot with them. I remember memories with them. A lot with the cat. They said the cat would find mice, and I'd play with him and the mice. So, anyways. Then my brother was born. Played with him a lot. I was roughly 4 years and 9 months when he was born. So I was roughly 6, 7, 8 playing with him. And then when I was 7, my sister was born. We were living in Gilchrist this whole time. And then roughly a year after my sister was born, within that time span, well, actually half a year after my sister was born, my parents just got to the breaking point. My dad hit my mom one time. He went to jail for a night because of it. He wasn't abusive, it just had enough type of thing, and the meth, and it's just too much chaos in their minds at the time. Dad never hit us or anything like that. We did get spankings for, punishments for being bad kids, but that's about it. That was the worst that we ever got. So after my sister was born, my dad hit my mom, and we went to court and everything, and the drug habit came out, and all kinds of stuff came out. So custody of us was up for court grabs. Grandma stepped in and intervened and took us. My mom completely just gave us up. My dad was trying to fight for us, though, as long as he could, until it was just nothing else he could do. Finances, just the courts, the system in general. That's how it is. It's once you mess up, they don't give you a lot of leeway to get forgiven. So we started living with my grandma. My sister was just a baby, little. Started going to school here in 3rd grade. Where I was going to school before then, I was in 3rd grade, and they weren't even doing multiplication. I come here, and they're doing multiplication. They look at me like, "You don't know what multiplication is." And I was like, "Well, teach me." And of course, I caught on very quickly. I love math. The end of my 3rd year here, though, I didn't get a lot of friends. I wasn't social at first. I was very reclusive. But at the end of the 3rd year, about 3 weeks was left. And during recess, I'm all kicking the ball against the gym. Now, the gym building is twice the size of the rest of the school. The rest of the school is just normal 9-foot type building, 1 level. And then the gym is a huge open up area, 2 levels, but it's not 2 floors, it's just 1 huge room. So on the outside where the playground is and the soccer field, the baseball field and all that, you can go, of course, kick a ball against the gym, and it's tall, so you can kick pretty high and bounce it off the wall and whatnot. Well, I'm playing recess, kicking the ball against the wall, and a kid named Todd comes up and grabs the ball because the recess bell rang, and I was still sitting there kicking the ball, because in my mind I was sitting there going, well, it's going to take a few minutes for everybody to get in. I could run up and get caught up and quickly in time. I have nothing to worry about. But, Todd took it on himself to be like, dude, it's time to go, grabs the ball and kicks it the opposite way into the soccer field. Now, mind you, there's no fence, there's nothing to stop the ball. So it goes, and then it's gone, okay, for a while. So for me to go get it, it's going to be a while. Well, as soon as Todd turned around, I punched him in his nose and caused him to get bloody, ran and cried to the teacher. I went down and got the ball, came back. I knew I was in trouble. I didn't care, though. Pissed me off. So, of course, I got in trouble with my teacher, and she took all the rest of my recesses for the rest of the year away and made me copy the dictionary. Didn't really help much, because I don't remember any of it. I do remember, though, maybe I could have handled it a little bit better as far as maybe not punching him, maybe just telling him how I felt, or smacking him maybe. That would have been better, but the best result would have been just to tell him. Anyways, that year ended. 4th grade comes along. I get a different teacher. He's the best teacher I've ever had. Now, I do forget his name because I only had him for 1 year, and he never taught again at that school after that year. But he would come in and act as different. He'd role play. He would come in as different people and say his name was someone else, or he came in as a hillbilly and said his name was this. And we all knew it was the teacher, but we'd sit there and laugh, and he'd play and try to teach us stuff in his role playing. And also, he had a very, very high level of educating kids, and it worked. And he got me to read. Before that, I had reading problems, and he made it. He made it to where I had more confidence, and I didn't have to worry about, oh, I am not good enough at it, or I can't do it. He reinforced confidence that you can do it. It just takes, effort. In that 4th grade year, in 3rd grade year, this whole time, I'm in a whole new school, whole new town. I don't know anybody. So friends are very few and far between, and they're more like momentary acquaintances. I didn't really have any friends. I did have a lot of disagreements with kids, though, because my teacher of the 4th grade year was like that. He one time in that 4th grade year, he had us all sit down, all together, and just get stuff off our chests. Let the other kids know what bothered us or what we didn't like, or whatever. One of the things, we went around, we all took turns, and most of the kids just talked about their little separate groups and themselves and whatnot. But when it was my turn, I just let them have it. I told them, I'm tired of not being able to be a part of these groups. When I want to do something or play with the other kids, and I'm not involved. And so, I was crying and just had enough. And the teacher gave me that moment to express myself. And it was awesome. So I got that off my chest, and some of the kids that were bullies or popular and wanted to be popular by picking on someone or segregating someone, like make them look better than everyone else or something. I don't know. Never understood that. But they felt bad, and then they gave me a hug and started doing things a little bit different, and started spending more time. And then I started getting some friends, but they weren't true friends. There was, I barely remember Dustin Markley, and Jared, but they were troublemaker type kids. I didn't really hang out with them too long. I knew them for maybe half the rest of the year. Three of us, there was a 5th grader that would point us out or try to. Dusty and Jared had a problem with him. They didn't like him too much because of the way he was a skater, and he would pick on us a little bit, not too much. But one of these times, we just had it. I can barely remember, but we just jumped him and just beat the crap out of him. But nothing happened to that. But I did see that kid that we beat up later. It'll be later in the story of my life. So that's all of my 4th grade there. Didn't hang out with them much after that grade, Dusty and Jared. A little bit over the summer. I did meet a kid named Freddie, who I met him acquaintance through video gaming. At the time, Mortal Kombat came out, and I wanted to play it. I didn't have it, so I had to go to his house to play it, and I met him through that. Stayed his friend through the summer. 5th grade came, and we were in the same class, so we were still friends and hanging out. Freddie was like me, didn't have any other friends, acquaintances. He was on the outside, looking in, loner like me. So I got to be, that was my first friend, best friend I ever had. First best friend I ever had. It was Freddie Byerly. And then 5th grade started, and we had Mr. Call. Mr. Call, I don't know what his deal was, but he liked to get behind you, put his hand on your shoulder and be like, "How you doing today?" and just creep you out. He never did anything. He never got in trouble for it. Probably still teaches there today, but he had that. And I also wanted to laugh my butt off every time he had a call, and and the secretary had to announce, "Mr. Call, you have a call." Just made me laugh. "Mr. Call, you have a call." And also, he was really good at teaching us science. He was very a science major. I think he was a college science major. I'm not sure, but he liked science a lot. And he was really good at that. And then, so that was the primary thing I got from him that year. Plus the geometry and history. That was fun too. But 5th grade was pretty normal. I mean, it wasn't as bad as 4th grade or 3rd grade or anything else. It was, I had a good friend, and I was happy. I didn't want much in life, and that was just a normal 5th grade for me. Of course, we still felt like, we were outsiders. I wanted to date the hot girl named Jamie, and of course I got shut down. But part of life. Then 6th grade came, and we had to go to middle school. And before we went to middle school, we had to choose what electives we would like, choir, band, orchestra, whatever. And I chose orchestra. So in 6th grade, we went to Franklin. Freddie didn't go to Franklin. Freddie went to a Lutheran Christian church for 6th grade. So we no longer went to school together. We still talked and stuff, but no more school. So I kind of got to redo the whole 3rd grade thing again. So, I was the kid that had to be wearing, back then, Walmart clothes. Okay, they're not like they are now, Walmart clothes. Back then, they were the typical 70s clothes that kids from the 90s would make fun of you. The shorts that come up to here, and they're plastic, and shit like that. It was just annoying. So 6th grade was not fun. Had to do the whole thing, integrating into this society and people again. But I was really good at math, and I stuck out on that. So 7th grade came. 6th grade was it just moved over. I didn't think much. I just wanted to get it over with. 7th grade came, and I built a little bit of a reputation through 6th grade into 7th grade. Not a popular one where you're like, hey, everybody wants to talk to you. More like an unpopular one where nobody wants to talk to you. But they knew you. Because I was very active in sports, too, through this whole period. I'm going to go retrace my steps because I forgot to mention sports. Let's go back to before I lived with my grandma in Gilchrist. My mom, there was a baseball team in Gilchrist that during the summer, and I would watch them play. Well, I told my mom to go live for them, tell them I was 12 so I can play on the team. She did. Played baseball when I was 9 with a bunch of 11, 12-year-olds. First time I hit the ball with the baseball bat, it shook the heck out of my hands, and it left a ringing sensation in my hands. Now, I did get a hit. I got on first, and it was just a ground ball down the second. But I still remember that. The first time I hit a baseball with a baseball bat. And that was 9. Alright, so after that summer is when my mom and dad did their thing, and I came to live with my grandma and started 3rd grade here. Well, when I started 3rd grade here, there was the thing about sports and what to do for after-school programs. It didn't start until after 3rd grade, though, when 4th grade came along. I was playing a lot of basketball street with my friends on my block. There was Timothy and Steve. Also, I'd go up to the school sometimes, play basketball. And then in 5th grade, I got into after-school football. In football, I was tight end. I was good with catching the ball. I wasn't fast, but I could knock kids over if I wanted to because I was short and stouty. I was I could have been a running back, but I wasn't fast enough. But I could catch the ball, so I was a tight end. That was fun. We got second place. And then 6th grade came, and I wanted rollerblades. Rollerblades wants to rollerblade. And that's when the age of extreme sports was coming out, and everybody started doing all kinds of stuff. Well, I got into some rollerblades, and did my falling down and learning how to rollerblade, and then they started doing roller hockey around the town, around Greeley, Colorado, for the city department of recreation for youth groups. Well, my grandma got me signed up in that, and I did roller hockey until I was 16. Back to 7th grade. So I'm doing roller hockey this whole time. Remember this. And it's during fall and summer. It's 2 seasons a year, and it's like 3 or 4 months. And at the end of the season, there's a tournament and all that good stuff. So I'm doing this twice a year while I'm in school. 7th grade came along. I got into advanced math. Now, they had 7th grade math and then 7th grade advanced math. That was for kids who did exceptionally well in 6th grade. I had an A+ in 6th grade math, and it was easy. And my assessments and my taking, and I just was exceptional in math. So I got into advanced math. However, I sucked at writing. So, they still had to work on the writing, my grammar, paragraphs, stuff like that. 7th grade, I got through that. Freddie was still at Martin Luther, or not Martin Luther, just Lutheran Christian high school. So we got done with 7th grade, we graduated. A new school was coming out, and everybody was talking about it in town. It's called Union Colony Charter School. Brand new. Nobody's been there. It's brand new, and it's only for those who get accepted. So you can't just go, hey, I want to go to that school. No, you got to send them an application, tell them about yourself, what you've done, and they'll say yes or no. So, of course, me and Freddie sent in our applications, and we got accepted. Now, this Union Colony Charter School was a college prep school. 6% of your grade was based on homework. If you didn't do your homework, you didn't pass, period. For this, homework, what? I barely do that. I got free time, more important than school. I go to school to learn, and then I go home to have free time. I don't go to school to learn, then go home just to learn some more of what school was supposed to. No, that just contradicted to me. So now, 8th grade, I barely passed with a D. This is when I started journeying into, not only was I doing school sports, I also started getting into Battletech card games. So I had a lot of time consumption, and video gaming. Video gaming took up a lot of my time too. I started video gaming back when I was, 5 with Nintendo, my dad. So I've been playing video games since I was a little boy. So a lot of my time, barely past 8th grade, playing a lot of video games, role-playing games, Final Fantasy, a lot of that. A lot of integration of expanding my imagination and learning a lot of what I can do with my mind inside here. Especially with role-playing games. It's like reading a book, but it's actual visual, and you get hands-on into it. So I love role-playing games. That was my biggest thing. I played a lot of things you probably have never heard. Tales of Destiny, Phantasy Star. I had Second Channel. I can go on and on. So 8th grade. I barely passed that. And when 9th grade comes along, 9th grade comes along, and during this time from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I'm doing orchestra too. So I'm learning how to play an instrument too at this whole time. I'm doing all this at once. And to me, when I'm doing this, it seems like easy, common stuff. Normal, why isn't everybody doing this? I don't know. I didn't care at the time. I just was doing my thing. Okay, 8th grade ends, 9th grade begins. Now, at the time in 8th grade, I was 5 foot tall. 9th grade came along, I was 5'4". By the end of 9th grade, I was 5'8". So this is when my growth spurt hit. 8th, 9th grade. In 9th grade, I started actually getting relationships with girls. Not just flings here and there, make out sessions, whatever. All everybody does is puppy love stuff. But actual relationships. The first relationship was over a weekend with this girl named Sarah. Barely remember that. Another relationship was with this curly, froey, red-headed girl. I barely remember her name unless I pull up my yearbook, which is in the house. Dated her for like 2 days. After that, there was a girl named Amy Flores, I think her last name was. Anyways, Amy, I dated her for a week, 2 weeks. A weekend, and during this 2 weeks, it was just completely make out. We like each other. At the end of this 2 weeks, before the weekend on Friday, she has the nerve to tell me, "Oh, my friend saw you with some other girl. I don't want to be with you anymore." And I'm like, "What? That's not even." She didn't even give me a chance to defend myself or nothing. Just left it like that. Boom. I was like, "Fine, okay. What can I do about it?" Monday comes along, the weekend comes. I do my normal thing. I'm just moving on about my life. I'm not too upset about it. I barely went out with her 2 weeks. Whatever. She comes back and she's like, "Oh, I found out it's not you. And blah blah blah. Will you go back out with me?" And I said, "No." From then on, my rule was I will never go back out with a girl who breaks up with me. Why did you break up with me if you want to go back out with me? Moving on. 9th grade was not a good homework year. Like I said, I was not cool with homework. I flunked 9th grade. At the end of the year, I flunked it. During 9th grade, I had a friend named Kevin Shoemaker. He was Korean, adopted. He was in orchestra with me. The reason he was in orchestra with me is that Union Colony didn't have a band. They only had orchestra. They put band with orchestra. So if you were in band before this and you came to the school, you would go to orchestra and play your instrument in an orchestra. A full orchestra, not strings only orchestra, which was middle school. That's how it was for us. Kevin went to Job Corps in Clearfield, Utah. Before he went to Job Corps that summer after 9th grade, actually at the end of the 9th grade, during that spring, it was like right after 9th grade ended, he was in 10th. He was a 10th grader and I was a 9th grader. See, I hung out with people who are usually ahead of their game. I don't hang out with people who are about the lower half. He went to Job Corps and he told me about it. He's like, "Hey, you gotta be 16, but when you get 16, you can go to Job Corps, you can get your diploma sooner than you would here." It was like, "Really, how?" And he said, "Well, instead of, having to do all this homework and all this stuff, it's just standard high school. All you do is just go to these classes and then get your credits enough to graduate." And I was like, "Wow, why? Heck yeah, why wouldn't I do that?" So I do the Job Corps thing. I fill out all the paperwork they want you to fill out, write the letter about your life story, and blah, 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 to get there. So I went to Job Corps. First night there, I was terrified. I was away from home, didn't know anybody, tons of people from all over the world. It was a big mess hole, and I was scared of shitless because I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know if somebody was going to try to poke my ass in the middle of the night or what. So I didn't sleep at all the first night. And also, the first night after orientation, the first day, when they take you to your dorm, they'd be like, "Hey, here's your dorm. This is your group of people you're going to be living with." Cool, whatever. I was put in M dorm. Little thing is there was Kevin Shoemaker at N dorm helping an orientation kid into his dorm. And I was like, "Holy crap, what's up?" Kevin was right there at the perfect timing. It was all meant to happen. But anyways, he's like, "Hey, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "I'm in M dorm." He's like, "Dude, I'll work on it. I'll talk to Miss B and we'll get you an N dorm over here, okay?" About after the first night, second night, I kind of slept. And then I got put in the N dorm, and I felt at ease after that. I slept every night. I had no problem sleeping after that because I felt